What's happening, Black August Resistance? We are live and direct once again. This is Riot Starter TV. Definitely happy to see all you in the chat and folks coming aboard. Again, it's Black August. You know, we're winding down the month. We got about 14, 15 days left during the month of Black August. Of course, Black August is about resistance. It's about our political prisoners. It's about our freedom fighters. And, you know, we want to stay in that vein. Of course, this month on Black Power Media, we've had all types of heavy duty guests that have come on from different formations. We've had different folks talking about the whole concept of Black August itself. And for those of you who missed the last episode of Riot Starter TV, we had on Mama Ayana. Mama Ayana talked about the formation of the Black August Organizing Committee and how Black August came about. So if you missed that, definitely go to the archives and check that out. Today, of course, on I Mix What I Like earlier today, our brother, shout out Dr. Jared Ball, he had on Dr. Joy James, and she, you know, went a little bit further on the dragon and dragon philosophers and the importance of freedom fighters like George Jackson, W.L. Nolan, and others. You know, so in that tradition, in that vein, you know, today, you know, if you haven't noticed over the past several episodes, I've had freedom fighters who happen to be women. I'm not going to say sister warriors or sister soldiers or sister this. They're freedom fighters who happen to be women. And I say that because of the fact that oftentimes folks, you know, they put the woman part first as if, you know, it's less than. You know what I'm saying? So I want to pay homage and acknowledge, you know, our fellow comrades, warriors, elders, ancestors, so on and so forth. So with that being said, today I wanted to bring on a very humble freedom fighter. I want to bring on someone that I've been knowing literally since I've been in Atlanta. That's over the past 17 years. She is definitely a warrior. Her and her husband, they are both former political prisoners, and they've been involved in community efforts, you know, before I was born, and they've been consistent. So today I want to introduce you to Mama Tamu Kanyama. Mama Tamu Kanyama, come to the front with us. What's happening? How you doing, Mama?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Man, I'm ready for revolution. Glad to have you on board. I feel like, you know, like I got Michael Jackson or somebody on here.
Okay.
You know, so definitely, you know, honored to have you on board. I wanted to, you know, I kind of, you know, we had some issues with the bio, so I kind of did the best I could with that. But I want for folks who are unaware of you, who are just tuning in and they've been under a rock, or they thought they was a freedom fighter and they just didn't get the memo. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Give us a brief bio on you and your work, if you don't mind.
Well, basically, as a young person in high school, and you know, you're hearing about different things. I had a little background from my older brother, who was not in the trenches as some of us have been in, but always stood up for what he believed in and was not going to be pushed around by anybody, no matter who they were or what the nationality was and things like that. And he had a lot of self-pride and pride in our people. So that gave me some some ideas of how to think. And then the stories that I would hear about my grandmother, who lived, way back, and in growing up in the Jim Crow society as she did, was still able to maintain her dignity. And I was always very proud of that. There were just certain things she just was not going to do. You would have had to take her life to make her do it. So with that being said, I had some notion of, what things ought to be, but I had never really considered the idea of freedom and independence and things like that. Those ideas were new to me. And I was in college by the time I was introduced to those kind of ideas of freedom and independence. And it just took my life by the storm, like a storm, because I was so intrigued by it. And that's, as you might say, kind of cut my revolutionary teeth with that. And, one thing led to another, and I was involved with the Republic of North Africa, and, the rest is kind of history.
Right on. Now, you just said, you made it sound so cool and so smooth that, for the internet revolutionaries, I mean, you just, they think they got a PhD after that one. A revolutionary PhD. You just mentioned the Republic of New Africa. Mm-hmm. So for folks who, who've never heard the name or the term or those words even put together, give us a description of what the Republic of New Africa was and what it is and what it stands for.
Republic of New Africa is a provisional government here in these United States. And it started back in March of 1968 in Detroit. As a matter of fact, it was at Reverend Cleague's church that they had he was the starter of the Shrine of Black Madonna. And they used his church to, several people from all across the country had come together and formed or laid out the groundwork for the Republic of New Africa. In fact, that's when the Republic of New Africa was born. Now, the Republic of New Africa believes in self-determination, and the Republic of New Africa also believes in separation and independence, which, like I said, was very, thrilling to me, the thought of it, because I'd never heard of such. So, but they believe in the 5 states in the South. The reason for that is because they feel that anywhere that Black people have worked on for years and years and years, fought and died, protecting that land, and have lived on that land for so many years, that all of the land in America where that has happened should belong to us as a people. But we only claim the 5 states in the South. That's Louisiana, Mississippi, North Carolina, Alabama, and Georgia. So, that's asking for very little when you look at how big the United States is, and then the number of us that's here. So that wasn't an unreasonable thing to go for. But anyway, that's kind of it in a nutshell of what we were fighting for. And also we're seeking international support. So it wasn't like we were doing anything undercover or that was unbeknown to mankind. These kind of things happen, on the broader scale of things. So, when you start dealing with international law, you can see that there's, a lot of things that happened over the years with different groups of people in terms of reparations and things like that. So, why not us? Where's our piece that's owed to us? So that's what that meeting was about, and drawing those outlines out. And these were people who were scholars who came together, and they pretty much knew what they were talking about. They knew the law, they knew international law, and so it was a good springboard for the rest of us to be able to jump on and bounce from.
Cool. Now I know that there are a few players, for lack of better words, that were involved. That a few notables. Can you tell the people some of the folks who were involved in who consider themselves citizens of the Republic of Africa? Shall I say that? You know what I mean? Because I know there's a couple folks who, yeah.
Well, it kind of came out of the Malcolm X Society. So Betty Shabazz was one of those. Robert Williams, of course, Mario Badele and his brother Gaidi, who was a very good attorney at that time.
Sure.
I can't think of anybody else offhand, but there were some hard hitters. Queen Mother Moore was a part of that.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't really bring anybody else to mind right now, but there were lots and lots of people there who were hard hitters.
Yeah, you named some heavy hitters just off the bat. You didn't even have to go no further than that, and we'd have been good. So I mean, so it was, and the reason why I asked you that, not for the sake of name dropping, but because of the fact that folks need to know the velocity and how how heavy this thing was. It wasn't just some a thing where a group of folks just got together and said, we're gonna make some noise in front of the courthouse. Yeah.
That's right.
So along with that, I know that with the Republic of New Africa, the Provisional Government of the Republic of New Africa, there were a couple instances that took place where the state literally vamped on you all. Now, one, you mentioned Detroit. I want to kind of I'd interviewed Baba Herman Ferguson, Rising Power, interviewed him and Muhammad Ahmed together, formerly Max Stanford. And one of the stories that he told was about a situation in the church at a convention in Detroit. And he mentioned folks like Dr. Mutulu Shakur. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Right. Yeah, and that was before my involvement, but I am aware of that. There was that I think the one that you're talking about, that was at Reverend Franklin's church.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
they were having a government meeting, and it was several people in there. It was, I think they said, like 200 and something people in this church. Yes. And the police came, and they claimed that there were two guards outside, and they claimed that the guards, the guarding, for the church, they claimed that they had their guns out.
Right.
It's been disputed, but they claimed that was their reason for getting violent. So there was an incident, a struggle outside. As a matter of fact, there was shooting outside, and then they called, because at that time it was only about 12 police and FBI agents, and then they called in for backup. And so then when they all came, they just burst into the church and was just shooting randomly. However, one police was fatally wounded, and there were, I think, about 4 brothers and sisters that were wounded as well, but they survived. Right. And they ended up arresting 142 people and giving them all kind of charges, as they normally will. And but we fortunately had Judge Crockett, who ended up dismissing all of those people. There were 3 people who were held, though, for on murder charges, and then they were eventually acquitted. With the attorney was Crockett, I can't remember his name, Kenneth Crockett or something like that. But anyway, he represented them, and it ended up in an acquittal. So they were pretty PO'd, if you will, at that, with all of us, our people getting out. And one of the brothers was ended up under suspicious circumstances, was murdered a few weeks after that.
Wow. So yeah, so it was and again, just bringing it up because of the fact that there's folks hear about what went on with the Panthers. They hear about what went on with the BLA, but not often do they hear about, SNCC and the Republic of New Africa, different,
Right.
formations.
That's true.
Yeah, so I remember one of the things that Dr. Baba Herman Ferguson talked about was how Dr. Matula Shakur was then 14 years old. He actually threw Baba Herman and Ialua to the ground and laid on top of them while things were while these gunshots was coming at him. So,
Wow.
That's a testament to the strength of our freedom fighters at a young age.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Our brothers were extremely well trained and extremely well disciplined. Right. It was just intriguing to watch them. I mean, and to witness some of the same things that you just said about covering with his own body, because we had a similar experience in our situation.
Right on. Right on. Now you have the Republic of New Africa, and then you had a security force. Speaking of that, a military, because when you have land, folks think that you can have land but not have a military to defend it. Can we speak a little bit on the Black Legion as far as like the responsibility and what exactly that was it?
Right. I can't speak a whole lot on them because I wasn't really involved with them, but we definitely we needed their support, and we needed, they looked out. They were security, and so if anything jumped off, they were there to protect us. And of course, everybody else is going to help, but they were the first one. They were the first liners. I'll put it that way. Right on. Yeah. One incident, which I did not mention that in my book, but we were up at Mount Beulah in Mississippi having a government meeting, and I don't know what happened, but in terms of where these individuals went, but we suspected they were the Klansmen or some other white group, but we had to exit the house, and we were near a railroad track, and I remember us having to walk on the railroad track to get out, most of us to safety. But it turned out that incident there was no shooting took place. They ended up leaving the premises. So, but yeah, there was quite a few attacks.
Right on. Yeah, my mama Ketchy Taifa's in the crowd. She said the attorney's name was Kenny Cockrell.
Yeah, something like that. That sounds right. Yeah, I pretty much have to look at it to say what is to pronounce it, because I keep confusing it with Cochran and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, shout out to her too. We definitely look forward to having her on as well.
Cool.
Yeah. So, you have today's August 16th. We're gonna get into the meat. 2 days from now, August 18th, 1971.
Absolutely.
50-year commemoration. There was a situation that took place in Jackson, Mississippi. And how they said, I wrote a song about it. Want to hear it? Here it go. You wrote a book about it. You want to hear it? Here it go. Yeah. So tell us about August 18th, 1971, and what led to that.
Okay. Well, what had led to that? Let me back up to Milwaukee. We had a consulate or government center there, and one of the young men who joined, other guys, some of the brothers were suspicious, and it was me who was telling Hakima, tell him to back off, because the brother he's not an agent, he's just stupid.
Right.
And it turned out that same person is the person who was an informer, and which led to 1148 Lewis Street, August 18th. So Hakima and I were visiting. There are two government centers there, and one government center is where most of the business operation took place, and then another center, there was several brothers and sisters were housed there. So when Hakima and I got there, that's where we were, and we were only there for 2 nights. The first night the next day was fine. We did whatever. And then the second night, we went to bed, got up, didn't get up. We woke up to a loud bullhorn telling us to get out of the house. They gave us a minute and 15 seconds to get up, get dressed, and get out of the house. Now, mind you, we were in deep sleep, and that was a little difficult to do. However, we did get up. Nobody, I think, were able to get fully dressed. But anyway, after 1 minute and 15 seconds, the bullets and tear gas canisters began to just come into the house. Just like an explosion. It was just ceiling falling, glass breaking. It was just a very horrendous situation. And so that's the crux of what happened there at 1148 Lewis Street. We were able to get out. And when there's a young brother, Chuma, who was like only 17 at the time, he escorted myself and another sister. It was only 2 sisters in the house at that time. But as I said, our brothers were extremely disciplined and extremely well trained. Well, he got us out of the house into a tunnel. And I probably owe my life to him, because I'm thinking, I don't even remember. I guess my thought was, once we got out of there, then, we need to, go get on out. And I'm running toward the light. That's what I was attempting to do. But he saw me and grabbed me by the foot, pulled me back in, and, got me back in the tunnel, covered me with his body, covered the sister and I, so that if any bullets came through, they would get him and not us. And that's deep.
17 years old. 17.
Yeah. But eventually, of course, there was gunfire exchanged, and we finally had to surrender. And when we surrendered, of course, we were arrested and badgered and hit, and the brothers were hit upside the head with the guns. The barrel of the guns and stuff. And we were threatened constantly. And of course, everything was a nigga this and nigga that. We had to, sit on the curb. And so finally, they took us to jail, and we remained there. I ended up in jail for 10 months. And most of the brothers stayed at least 9 years. We had to go through a whole lot in terms of the prison system. And we went to court, of course. The sisters, none of us actually went to court. We went to court, but none of us actually had to do time or anything. All 3 of us were exonerated, which that was good. But then the brothers were left, and we were, fighting. Once I got out, that was my whole life then revolved around speaking engagements and dealing with the lawyers and doing whatever I could do. And of course, visiting my husband. So we, our life became, not our own by our own directions, but by the powers that be, and what we needed to do to offset some of the harm and danger that was on our way.
So what were the, what were the charges? Okay, they're arrested, they're charged. What was the premise behind it? Like, take us to that, because of the fact that, again, I know some of the answers to this, but folks is like, what is going on? Not in the United States. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm sorry, because I kind of
it's all good.
Omitted the fact that during the shooting, there was 3 officers that were wounded, and none of us were wounded. So that's what really upset them so badly. And one of the officers were fatally wounded. And now, and of course, we did not ask for this. This is what came to us, and we did believe in self-preservation.
Sure.
So that's what happened, and we were charged with everything from murder to attempting to overthrow the United States government. Levying war against the state of Mississippi. Of course, those other lesser charges of hitting the other 2 officers. Man, we had a list so long that it was unbelievable. That anything. Oh yeah, possession of an automatic weapons, which the judge had us to go to the lake area and had their ballistic expert to show and prove that we had a automatic weapon, because it wasn't bought as an automatic weapon, but they claimed that we adjusted it somehow and made it fire automatically. The ballistic expert was not able to do it. After trying on numerous tries, he was not able to do it, but the brothers were still charged with that and convicted of it as well.
Right.
So, and mind you, they had the gun, and that particular gun, or all of the guns, in their possession for over a year, and could have manipulated it into doing anything they wanted to, but I guess they didn't think of that. Right. Because they definitely were not able to fire it automatically. I don't know if anyone could.
Right. They were Mississippi crackers. They weren't as bright as they thought they were. Yeah. So, man, so ultimately the brothers were sentenced to, what were their, I know some of them got life, or what was the situation with that?
Yeah. Now the people in the second house, now the attack was simultaneous, but in our situation, there were 7 of us in that house. So we got charged with everything. The people in the other house initially was charged with everything. It was 4 of them, 1 sister and 3 brothers. They were initially charged with everything, but at some point, some of the charges they were able to eradicate, because there was absolutely nothing happened at that house. When they went to that house, and they announced on the bullhorn for them to come out, well, they were already up and dressed and doing government work. They were able to just walk outside and say, "What's up?" Right. And everything was peaceful, but they were arrested and charged with levying war, et cetera, all the things that we were charged with. But eventually they were charged with lesser things. And like the sister who was there, now she was the first of us to get out. I think she only served maybe a month. But, eventually, I think Imari, the president, probably served more time. I'm sure he served more time than the others in that house, because that's who they really wanted. Right. I suspect, and I'm sure, a lot of others who were with us suspect that they waited for that particular time to attack, because they thought that Imari and Ikema would have been there at the same time, and possibly other government officials, because Ikema was the first vice president, and they wanted to get, the old thing, kill the head and the body will die. Right. So that's my thinking, is that, because they had every opportunity to do what they had said they had come to do. Let me back up on that one for a second. The reason that they claim that they came was to arrest this one brother who had also joined in Milwaukee. But they knew his whereabouts for months. And
former, you said.
But the brother was not at the government center anyway, wasn't even living there, and they knew this because the spy had informed them of everything. So they, created that story that they were looking for this brother, and he had been evicted from the center, because you had to have certain behavior to stay on the property. Right. And I don't know what happened, what transpired and caused his being evicted, but he was not allowed to come on the property, and they knew that. they knew that, but that's what their claim was, that they came to serve a warrant to him.
So now both of these houses were in Jackson, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted for clarity. Now I read somewhere that, and I don't know how true this is, or even if you can speak on it, that 3 members had made their way to Cuba. Is that
they were not the ones that were arrested with us.
Okay.
Those brothers who went to Cuba, that was something totally different. They were being attacked, and on the way, I think, I'm not sure where they were. They were on the way south here somewhere, but they were able to get out of that situation that they found themselves in, and were able to leave and go to Cuba. And they were RNA brothers, but they were not the RNA 11.
Okay. So, like you said, so the majority of the brothers, they did at least 9 years, you were saying.
Yeah, it was 3. It was 4 that actually, let me see, it came out as father. Okay, so it was 3 that actually had the 9 years, and that's what happened, because they were not supposed. Those 3 were not supposed to get out ever. They all had life sentences without the possibility of parole.
Right.
But through a mistake on the state's part, they were in error, and they what they did was technically illegal. And so our attorney, it took them 2 years to argue the case, but they won, and the brothers were able to leave. So they were the last ones, and they were not the last ones incarcerated. The 4th person, which breaks my heart, he was the youngest person ever in the whole group. He was only 15 years old. And he did more time than any of us. Not only that, when they did finally release him, he was released on parole, could not leave Mississippi, and stayed on parole for the rest of his life. And he transitioned a couple of years ago.
I'm sorry to hear that. That's
the
insanity of the state. But big up to salute to that brother and to all of you, because of the fact that it's beautiful to be sitting here talking to you. Again, like I said, I've been knowing you for a while, but these aren't the stories that we're talking about when
right.
So, but just to see all of our political prisoners begin to be released, that's a beautiful thing. So I'm glad that you're here. So I kind of want to, and since you touching on that particular piece, so during this time you have children, you all are working to pretty much leading the campaign to free Baba Hakima and Addis and these other brothers. What was that experience like? Because I know that it had to be a nightmare from August 18th on. You know what I mean? What was the day-to-day on that? Give us, because of the fact, and I'm asking you this because of the fact that, again, folks look at revolution and they look at movement work as some type of nostalgic type of fantasy type, let's just put it on a t-shirt and we good type thing, Talk about that side.
Well, it was just life. It became my life. And you live your life day to day like anybody else live their lives day to day. So, you're doing what you got to do. You're doing what is in your heart to do. And when I left jail and was interviewed, one of the things that I remember saying is that in that interview was that I would leave no stone unturned, and I would work forever until the brothers were all free, not just my husband, but all of them. I just felt like I morally owed them that, just because and you bond in situations like that as well, because some of those brothers, I didn't even know. But, we coming together, first of all, that whole big thing, with the shootout, that pushed us together. But then you're coming together, you've got the same objectives of trying to get out of here. Sure. And, there's a certain bond that was made that was unbreakable. And it was like, they are a part of me now, and so part of me was still incarcerated, and I had to get the rest of me out. So I would work for that, and I did, as I said, I was in college, but I went back to school and worked part-time, and almost every dime that I earned was for airline tickets, but running back and forth to Mississippi. And,
And you were back in Milwaukee, or?
I was back in Milwaukee.
Yes, you're from? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I would go and visit Hakeem as often as I could. And I did speaking engagements on for the Chokwe Lumumba. I was kind of heading up the funds for trying to get the attorneys and all of those kind of things. And he would call and say, they need a sister to speak, because they were speaking too. They were going places, but sometimes they wanted a sister to go. And they would call, and I, whatever I was doing, I had to stop, drop, and roll. So I would do that. And as you said, you mentioned children, and the unique thing about Parchman is that they have conjugal visits. And I was saying to someone, I was saying to someone earlier today that how when you go there to Parchman is so intimidating. Just looking at it is just intimidating. And you hear all these horror stories about it. And they're true. But some humane things that I experienced was the conjugal visits and just the visits, period. Because like some places you go and you have to look at the visitor have to look at their person through a glass, sure, or through bars, or even talking on the phone and looking at them. That, but we brought food, we sit down and eat and, hug, you just, and the kids run around playing while you're sitting there talking, etc. So, there were some very human things about it, although I attribute that to the old slave mentality of keeping the slave happy, and you will have less trouble and fewer runaways. So, but whatever their thinking was in designing it that way, it worked out for my family, because we have 3 beautiful daughters as a result of that.
Yeah, I know. Three tough, beautiful daughters. Yeah, definitely shout out to them. For even assisting in making this interview happen. Let's start with that. Yeah. One thing I wanted to ask you. You mentioned Brother Chokwe. Rising power to Chokwe. For the viewers, tell the people who Chokwe Lumumba was to our movement and to just the African people, if you don't mind.
Right. Well, back in the day, we're all young, several of us college students, and, we're out to change the world and create better conditions for ourselves. And Chokwe kind of grew up in that environment. And at that time, he was a law student at Wayne State in Detroit. He helped so much with organizing our team, our attorneys in that, and in seeking out the best for us. He eventually went on and got his degree and etc. And later became the mayor of Jackson, Mississippi. And then he ended up transitioning shortly after, but and now his son is in his 2nd term as mayor.
Right on.
Yeah, but he was a dynamic brother. I can't say enough about him. He was so clever and knew how to talk to the authorities and get around things and have them apologizing. He was very skillful.
Yeah, and even and skillful, and I think respected as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because even going to his funeral, just seeing him being honored as the mayor of Jackson, you had it was a wild experience, because you had 2 different sets of people. You had the revolutionaries, the freedom fighters, and then you had the folks from the city who in many cases respected him just as much for his work as mayor and his work just in people's liberation movement. So definitely rising power to brother Chokwe and all
and not only that, the way the city honored him.
Yes.
It blew my mind when they had him laying in state.
Yes.
And on the one side you had the big American flag, and the other side you had the New African flag, just as big.
That's right.
And then and on the side of that, you had this huge Kanara, and all the red, black, and green candles, etc. And then he was so finely dressed in his African garb, and even at the funeral, at the ceremony, when people got up to talk, it kind of blew everybody away when the first little Caucasian older guy got up and spoke and said whatever he said, and then we put his fist in the air and said, "Free the land."
That's right.
Said it 3 times, and by any means necessary. Just kind of. But it just showed, and I'm not saying that they were like good white folks. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
What I'm saying is that they had to felt the need to show respect to him and everything that he was about, not just myriad things, but who he really was.
Yeah, I mean, you had everything from the drummers to the stilt walkers,
yes,
dancers, the whole nine. So definitely, it was a serious experience.
It really was. It really was.
Yeah. So definitely, shout out to him and his work. You have it's so much that we could talk about on, and I know some of this stuff, like he didn't say he was going to ask that, what I'm saying, but you have this the anniversary, like I said, it's coming up on Wednesday, 50 years since this attack. I think that I read somewhere there was over 60 FBI agents and another 40 or so Jackson police that vamped on you all, and it was a 20-minute shootout, something to that effect.
No, it wasn't that long.
Okay.
I wouldn't think it was. I don't know. It might have been. I don't think it was 20 minutes, but
it was a long time. Okay.
Yeah, it felt like it.
Right.
But I think it was 35 police and FBI.
Okay.
Now, what the story you heard may have been counting the others who were at the other house.
Okay.
So that may have been that number.
No, that's cool. Well, hey, man, either way, we glad that you all made it out. And in both of those stories that you talked about in Detroit and in Mississippi, the beautiful thing is there were no casualties on our side, but on the other side, so long live Chairman Fred Hampton, who was assassinated just over a year prior. So I can imagine that thought must have been running through some of you all's heads, just that the similarities in that situation.
Exactly.
Yeah, so definitely, and salute to folks like Fulani Suni Ali, and Baba Bilal, and folks like that who've kept that tradition going as well.
That's right. They certainly did.
Yes. So let's talk about this book. You got a book coming out. What's the name of the book? What's the book about? And how can these people checking us out listen? Because we ain't let them just come through here for free. They have to buy a book or something. Come on.
Yeah, the book is called 1148 Lewis Street, A Long Journey.
Okay.
And it talks about my life. I give a little bit of information about my growing up, but the high point talks about the RNA and what our struggle was, the shootout, etc. We talk about our personal life. I talk about our personal life in there, the struggles that we had in terms of just our relationship. Once my husband was home, because, everything wasn't gravy. I paint sometimes a really beautiful picture, which it is a beautiful picture, but it was not without struggle. We had to readjust. The children had to readjust, and things like that. So I talk about all of that in the book. Yeah. And where you can get it.
Yes.
You can get it from Us Lifting Us. If you go to Us Lifting Us on the computer, and you can order it there. You can also get it from Amazon, and you can get it directly from me. And if you come to the to our book signing Wednesday, you can get it your signed copy right there.
Right on. So the book signing will be in Atlanta, because we have a lot of folks around the world, and they're gonna be asking where the book signing at. And they're gonna think it's where they at.
Yeah.
But it's at the core, which is in East Point. I don't have the actual address.
2857 Main Street in East Point, right across the street from the East Point train station.
Right on. 2857.
And it's from 4 till 8, and I'll be speaking at 5.
Okay, and that's on this Wednesday, the 18th, August 18th. Also, you said Us Lifting Us. Is that usliftingus.com? Because we'd rather have folks go directly to the site opposed to yeah. So definitely go to usliftingus.com. You can get your copy hot off the press. And you know, definitely we want to support Mama Tamu and Baba Hakima, who I want to get on the show eventually as well, because he's been putting in a lot of powerful work, community work, organizing with Us Lifting Us, and also he has a program called 10-10-50, and 10-10-50 is one of the sharpest programs that we plan on readopting. Because you know, it's nothing like it as far as it being practical. And can you speak on 10-10-50 for us just briefly, as far as what it means, 10-10-50?
Yes, the first 10 is saying that first of all we said there's Black people, so many Black people, Black groups or stores or whatever that's doing things to try to uplift our people, and we say that, you know, try and find somebody who's doing what you respect, and they usually need help. You know, with volunteers. So go and volunteer 10 hours per month of your time to help that organization or business. And then to the second 10 is to donate $10 a month, because they usually need money. So you want to assist in that respect as well. And then the 50 is just asking you to redirect $50 that you're already spending elsewhere. Wherever you spending $50, redirect it and spend it at a Black store or at a Black business. So that's the whole 10-10-50. And then we ask that you let the person know, or the business know, what you're doing, that you're trying to uplift our community, that you specifically are choosing to shop with them or to do business with them.
Right on, right on. Hey, Mama, again, usliftingus.com. You can go grab this book. I think I might have spelled it wrong in the piece over there, but it's USLIFTING, liftingusus.com. And you can go get this brand new book. And the name of the book is called
1148 Lewis Street, Lewis.
Right
Street. And the subtopic is A Long Journey.
Right on, right on. So we definitely appreciate it. Any last words you want to leave us with? Marching orders? Just
to hang tough with the community and do whatever you can do that's in your power to uplift it, because we need it. We need it. We got to get ourselves out of the situation that we find ourselves in. And we've been, people have been struggling for years, and we still here. We want to see something better for our babies.
No doubt. We appreciate you. Love and appreciation, Mama. We're looking forward to reading the book. Perhaps we'll do a book review or something.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely keep you posted. Our home is your home. Whenever you're ready to come back on, let us know any updates. And hopefully, there'll be, I know this whole pandemic thing is going on, but hopefully there'll be some more book signings around the country, because I'm sure some jewels in it. So, definitely, stay strong, stay valiant. I mean, I'm getting tongue twisted right now. Anyway, stay on the right side of history. We appreciate you. And you all go out and grab this book. I want to check with her later on, and I want to know that 1148 Lewis Street is being I mean, she no more left on the shelves. So that's what we need to do. You know?
All right. Well, thank you so much. And thank you for having me.
Right on, Mama. Be strong. We've been talking to Mama Tamu Kanyama, and she's a serious freedom fighter. For those of you who are tuning in late, make sure you go rewind and check out what she had to say. She has a brand new book that'll be dropping on the 50th anniversary of the vamping on 1148 Lewis Street, where the RNA was attacked. The Republic of New Africa and RNA 11 came up out of that situation. And, you know, we want to keep on supporting. Moving right along, we have a lot coming up, a whole lot coming up. Make sure you check out the Remix Morning Show tomorrow. We have a lot of hot topics going on. We will be broadcasting live right here from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You can catch us here. Also, this Sunday coming, which is the 22nd, we will be commemorating Black August live online at 5 p.m. We have a number of different heavy hitters that will be joining us. 5 p.m., August 22nd. We'll be talking about, we'll be going through the 42nd commemoration of Black August. And when we say Black August, we say long live the dragon. So Black August resistance. And, you know, let's stay on the right side of things. We appreciate you all for tuning in and checking us out today. Check out the archives, blackpowermedia.org. And also, if you haven't already, follow us or subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is at Black Power Media on YouTube. So go to YouTube, and if you're on there now, because I know we're broadcasting on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. But if you're not subscribed, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, definitely go to Black Power Media and subscribe so you can stay in tune with what's going on. We appreciate your work, appreciate your efforts and your energies, and keep on fasting and stay on the right side of history. Ready for revolution. We out.